Survival skills. I'm sure that Bear's going to give me some tips.
Oh, look, here we go. That is bear fur.
So what do you do if you confront a bear?
I want to make lots of noise, show you're not worth the fight. Yo, bear!
The President and I will be journeying through the Alaskan wilderness.
I think it's fair to say that I'm not in as good shape as you. Hopefully I'll be able to keep up.
Wow, check that out.
Unbelievable.
Where we'll see the effects of climate change firsthand.
When you took over as president, that glacier was here.
The wild doesn't care who you are.
I found this on the riverbank. This was half eaten by a bear.
The fact that he told me that this was a leftover fish from a bear, he could have just left that out.
Even if you're the commander-in-chief.
Put me to work, man.
You're about to see a side of President Obama.
I made you this morning.
Great president, but a lousy cook.
I promise you, it's better than anything that you've ever had on this show.
You've never seen before.
We've got to get a selfie up here. This will be the best view of the lot.
For security reasons, I can't have a smartphone. I had to borrow one from my staff. Hey, Joe, what's the code? I need passcode. It's possible you guys could edit that out. Maybe not. As president, I am in what's called the bubble. And Secret Service makes sure that I'm always out of danger, which I very much appreciate, but can be a little confining. In fact, every once in a while when I go off track, if I do something unexpected, the phrase we use is that the bear is loose. And somebody tries to grab a tranquilizer gun, make sure that they get me back in the cage. So to be with bear in the woods, it doesn't get any better than that.
That's why I'm heading down to the wash. And that's why I should be meeting him. There's one meeting I don't want to be late for.
I don't claim remarkable survival skills. I can probably put up a pretty wobbly tent. I might be able to make a fire. I know the bear generally eats just about anything. I'm going to probably stick to some stuff that isn't going to cause me significant stomach problems, because I got a lot of work to do after I finish this show.
I'm at the RV point, waiting for the president, nervous. This, for me, is definitely the biggest thing I've ever done in my life. We've taken some amazing people on adventures, but to take the leader of the free world, I just never really imagined it would happen, to be honest. I just really hope I don't get too tongue-tied, because when I get really nervous, I find it pretty hard to speak.
Bear!
Hey, Mr. President.
How you doing?
How do you do, sir?
Good to see you, sir.
I'm Bear.
How are you?
Yeah.
It's wonderful to meet you.
What a great place to meet.
It is spectacular.
When I first saw him, we were standing next to each other. I can tell it's going to mean a lot to him, this journey. And for me, it's such a privilege to be taking him.
This is the first time that I've been able to actually travel other than just the Air Force base to refuel. So,
okay, so first time...
First time, setting foot in Alaskan wilderness.
Amazing.
And it's good company to keep.
Thank you.
This has got to be one of the best days of my presidency. First of all, I'm not in the office. Second of all, I'm not wearing a suit.
Well, we've got a bit of a journey ahead of us.
Let's do it.
The President and I are here to see Alaska's exit glacier. In recent years, this massive glacier has been receding at an alarming rate due to climate change. We're going to journey across a glacial outwash and through a dense forest to reach the glacier.
We're going to try and get to the snout of the glacier.
I think it's fair to say that I'm not in as good shape as you.
I don't know, you look incredible.
As presidents go, I'm in decent shape.
You're not
hopefully
wrong.
I'll be able to keep up.
Right, we go. Well, we're in bear country for real.
Yeah.
So we're going to be smart. They're notoriously lacking in respect for rank or anything, so we're going to look after each other. I've got some bear spray.
There you go.
That's the last line of defense.
There you go. Let's do it.
I feel bad that I'm looking so...
You look good,
I look
man.
like the cat or something.
No. That's how you're supposed to look. You know
what?
If you were looking too clean, I'd be suspicious.
I caught a glimpse of myself in the camera lens earlier, and my first thought was, my mum is going to kill me looking like this with the president.
Well, I don't think there are rules for the president. I do think that, there are rules for the Queen.
So you've met the Queen?
I have. She's one of my favorite people. She has a great sense of humor, but she doesn't suffer fools very well.
She doesn't, and I think she thinks I'm one, because I met her, and she said, this was years ago, and that's just when we got back from Everest, and she goes, and your name is? I went, I can't even remember my name. I couldn't talk. She moved on. I thought, I've blown it. My one chance, I've blown it.
Well, listen, I really enjoyed watching your shows and your work, and one of the main purposes of our trip here is to highlight the effects of climate change and what's happening to the planet. And people need to see it and feel it, as opposed to just reading a bunch of numbers on a page.
Well, you're so right. I think speeches are one thing, but, I mean, we live and breathe this stuff every day because we're out in it, and we see the harsh kind of reality of it. And a lot of it, actually, is quite shocking.
That's exactly right. And, I've got 2 daughters, and I don't want grandkids too soon, but eventually I hope to have some. I want to make sure that this is there for them, not just for us.
For sure. The thing is, if we don't, it will go, and you can't get it back.
It doesn't come back.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to come and show you this.
Let's do it.
Okay, so here, choices. We can either hit the river. It's going to be cold, fast-flowing, dangerous. We're probably better off tucking up this little re-entrant through the forest.
Let's do it.
And do it that way.
Come on.
All of this alder forest is pretty dense. It's hard work to get through, but also I'm super aware it's classic bear territory. And, you got the President of the United States with me, so we've just got to take our time and get it right in here. Coming up. Oh, look, here we go. That is bear fur. You know when bears are most dangerous?
When's that?
If you surprise them, fornicating.
Well, I think that's probably true for humans as well.
No, that's true, yeah. We can cook on that. So my goal is to cook you the presidential lunch of your life.
I've seen some of the things Bear eats. Hopefully, he's got something that you might see on a plate.
So normally when we do these journeys, it's a pretty small team that makes it happen. But when you're dealing with the president, obviously it's a little bit more involved. You've got the Secret Service, the White House staff, the press corps. It's a lot of people to manage. So there's even a guy out here who checks that everything that the president eats is safe. I just hope he's okay with my plans for the president's lunch.
So where did your love of the outdoors come from?
Well, growing up in Hawaii, I was more of an ocean kid than a mountain kid. But there's some beautiful mountains in Hawaii, and I used to go up with my friends, just get a beat-up old tent.
Did you really?
Yeah.
So when you were that age, did you ever think, I might be president one day?
No, definitely not.
It was never...
I think it's fair to say that not only did I not think it, but nobody else did either.
Genius, genius.
Yeah.
Oh, look, here we go.
What do we got here?
That is bear fur. But, it's no surprise they're going to use this route to come down to the river to feed. There you go. That is brown bear fur.
Bear showed me some bear fur, which is the first time I had seen that stuff up close. It's more delicate than I would expect.
But yes, that means we're just going to be...
You got to be careful.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know when bears are most dangerous?
When's that?
Feeding.
Yeah.
Protecting their young.
Right.
If you surprise them.
Right.
Fornicating.
Well, I think that's probably true for humans as well.
No, that's true, yeah. So
what do you do if you confront a bear? I mean, I've heard stories that rather than run, because they're going to be faster than you by a mile, that you have to stand your ground. But I don't know whether that's a myth or whether that's a fact.
Well, you are right. They're faster than you, and, they can climb trees, so up a tree's no good.
Right.
I think a good rule of thumb, if you intrude to their territory, just back away slowly, keep eye contact, back away out of it. Don't turn, don't run.
Right.
If they intrude on your camp, you want to make big, you want to be like super bear, you want to make lots of noise, show you're not worth the fight, and scare them off. But the best thing is make lots of noise so they know you're coming.
Right. I'm going to keep that as a rule of thumb. When I'm walking through the forest, I think there's nothing wrong with making a little bit of noise, just letting them know we're coming.
Yo, bear! Keep the noise levels up.
Want to make sure he knows we're coming, or she.
Yeah, that's true.
Because if she's got some cubs, that's when you really got to worry.
Yeah. You know what my kids asked me? They said, you've got to ask the president, does anything scare him?
You know, well, when Michelle's mad, I get worried. There's a certain look that she can give me that tells me.
That's your survival instinct.
Tell me. But, you know, I don't have a lot of phobias as a general rule. I mean, I'm not, you know, obviously as big of a thrill seeker as you are, but...
I have a few phobias.
Most of the time I'm game. What are you scared of?
Really bad with cocktail parties. I'm not. It puts a fear of God. I'd be a terrible president. I'd do president with no cocktail parties.
You know what? We'll try to keep you out of Washington.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll come and hang any time, but no cocktail parties.
I got you.
So look, you've got a bit of a rock fall down this.
Yeah.
But a lot of this will be caused by what they call exfoliation, or sort of rain.
Right.
It will freeze.
Right.
It expands, cracks it, and then it all kind of tumbles down. But the good thing about all of this stuff is that...
We can do something with it.
Well, you get it, even a narrow one like that, we can cook on that. So my goal is to cook you the presidential lunch of your life.
I've seen some of the things Bear eats, so hopefully he's got something that you might see on a plate. At minimum, it's got to be something that doesn't still have its legs and eyes on it.
And then all of this is alder, all these trees. Have you heard of catkins?
No.
Let's see if we can see some. These are small ones.
So what are these?
But we can make tea out of that. Here we go. Here's some. I'll tell you what. Give me a. Just spot the.
Yeah. One of the things that Bear is able to do is to constantly reconnect people to that more basic elemental experience that we all have when we're out in the open. We don't have televisions and we don't have cell phones.
Pick a couple of these ones off.
Now some of these look kind of...
The little green...
I got you. That's a good one right there. He's got a great spirit. And to learn from him some of the basics of survival, I think that's something that everybody thinks is pretty cool.
So this got lots of vitamin C, anti-inflammatory, and makes good tea.
What are these called again?
So these are catkins.
All right.
That's going to be tea later.
Let's do it.
Okay, let's keep moving. I'm hoping we're going to get a view up here. All good?
All good.
Wow, check that out.
Look at that. Unbelievable. This glacier is attached to this massive ice field.
This is the tongue of it,
Yeah, the Harding ice field.
This is the largest ice field in the United States, covering 300 square miles. But it has shrunk an alarming 812 feet since 2008.
But the crazy thing is, when you took over as president, 2008, that glacier was here.
Yeah, that's how much we've
lost. Exactly, yeah.
Just in that short period of time. When you see this glacier, it gives you a sense of the magnitude of it. But what you're also reminded of is how far it's already receded, just since my presidency. And it underscores once again why it's so important for us to pay attention to climate change and understand that there's something that we can actually do about it.
Coming up, we've got to get a selfie up here. This will be the best view of the lot.
For security reasons, I can't have a smartphone. I had to borrow one from my staff. Oops, I did the same.
Come on, President, you've done it again. This is excruciating.
This is a sign that I don't have a smartphone.
I've had to swim in this a lot.
Have you?
So, yeah, naked.
Yeah, that's not something we're going to do either.
So safety is always our main concern on these journeys, but with the president, obviously it got taken to another level. So we had sniper teams all the way along the route in the mountains, and just before we started filming, a military helicopter started circling the area above us. And to be honest, I have no idea, you know, what they're up there looking for. Actually, I'm not even sure I want to know.
Wow, check that out.
Look at that. Unbelievable.
That's cool, isn't it? It's quite a special moment when we come out of the forest, come over this rise, and bam, right in front of us, is this huge, giant white face of the snout at the end of the glacier. And we just kind of had a moment of taking it in and him realizing this is why he's fought so hard for all he's doing to try and protect our planet.
You know, most problems in the world, as tragic as they may be, are fixable. You know, you can reverse trends. This is one of those trends where if it starts accelerating too fast, then we can be too late. But the key is over this next decade, for all the countries, all the big emitters, the United States, China, the European countries, to make sure that we are putting in place a global agreement. And the good news is that technology is advancing much more rapidly than I think even I anticipated. When I came into office, solar power was still significantly more expensive than power generated from fossil fuels. And there's no reason why we can't transition entirely off of fossil fuels, but we've got to get started now. And that means everybody's got to participate. Simple things like turning off the lights, buying a fuel-efficient car, maybe an electric car. Those things make a difference. They add up.
I think kids want to be part of that. They want to make it. I mean, we live in a place, this little island, and it's 100% off-grid.
Yeah.
You know, it's wind and solar power. And the kids love it because the whole thing is an adventure. It's someone of that age that will really then take what you're putting in place and really then change the world.
Yeah, that next generation, I think, is ready and willing. We just got to kind of get out of the way. We tend to hold folks back. It's not too late. If we begin transitioning now, we can slowly taper down the amount of carbon that we're releasing. It's like driving a car towards a cliff. You don't have to screech to a halt. You have to start tapping on the brakes. We still have enough time that if we tap on those brakes and we slow the car, then we're going to be able to stop it well beyond the point of no return. But we've got to start now.
We've got to get a selfie up here. This will be the best view of the lot.
That's the shot right there.
That's it, isn't it?
So many of my friends said, listen, if you're doing this, one thing you got to get is a killer selfie with the president. And we came to this amazing big flat rock. And I thought, that's the place. Come on, we got to get this. Just a quick one.
I got my phone, too.
Okay, here we go.
Come on.
That one is a keeper.
Genius.
Come on. I got my own. Although I never know how to work this.
I love it now.
Oops, I got to reverse this thing.
There you go.
This thing, right? There we go.
Oh, no, you pressed the wrong one.
Hey, Joe, what's the code?
Oh, that's brilliant.
I need passcode. You remember it? The selfie with Bear in which he was taking the shot was fine. Me trying to take a selfie, I don't have a smartphone. I had to borrow one from my staff. Well, am I going to be able to Instagram? Interesting. So a bear has chewed on this sucker.
Yeah, but we're going to cook it up, so it's going to be good.
All right. I've seen some of the things Bear eats. I think a piece of salmon, that'll work just fine. Oh, I heard a little sizzle there.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah. The fact that he told me that this was a leftover fish from a bear, I don't know if that was necessary. He could have just left that out.
Yeah, that's that. Have you ever got lost in the White House?
No.
It's huge. What about the girls when they were young, when they first went there?
You know, they found some good hiding places. It's a great place to do hide and seek.
The best.
But, you know, the truth is the White House's grounds are not that big. Because it's an old Capitol, it doesn't have some of the grandiosity and scale. And I think it partly reflects American democracy. I think there was a sense that the White House shouldn't be too ostentatious.
Yeah.
And before 9/11, you used to be able to walk right up and people were driving right in front of the White House. Now, now the roads have been blocked off, but I remember when I was a young man, the first time I visited, you could walk right up to the gate and look right through, and there'd be traffic behind you.
And do you remember doing that at a young age?
I think the first time I visited, I was 21.
And that made a big impact?
I can't say that I imagined I'd be looking out from the other side of the window.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Life's weird, isn't it?
It is. You don't expect a kid of a single mom, born in Hawaii, named Barack Obama to end up being president. That's not something you generally bet on.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Coming up.
I made you a s'more. Let's see how it goes.
I love you, but that looks terrible.
I promise you, it's better than anything that you've ever had on this show. Huh?
Great president, but lousy cook.
Come on, man, that s'more is solid. Let me try it out.
One of the most surprising things about the president is just what a normal, down-to-earth, regular guy he is.
Let's face it, this cameraman's got the toughest job, though, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he's got to do everything I do backwards.
Backwards, yeah. He's like Ginger Rogers.
I guess you imagine someone with that much responsibility and also power would somehow, you know, be above it all. But actually, he wasn't that at all.
This is a good way to spend the day, isn't it? This beats our usual day in the White House. No doubt about it.
You seem to push through so many things that you believe in. What have you learned about getting things done that are really on your heart?
Persistence. I'm a big believer in persistence. They've done studies of kids growing up in important neighborhoods or war-torn regions of the world, and the kids who survive it and thrive, it's not necessarily the smartest kid. It's not necessarily the strongest kid. It's the most resilient kid. And I think that's true in just about every circumstance. A lot of stuff that you try is not going to work. But if you stay determined, typically you can make real progress. And you have to have something of an even keel so that you don't get too high and you don't get too low in order to stay determined. You know, one of the things that I try to tell my daughters is don't believe the hype when things are going good, and don't despair when things are going bad.
Yeah. It's funny. Kids are such a good foil, aren't they, to remind us of those sort of values, you know, because we all have days where we feel a bit beaten up.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that your girls must be such a huge encouragement to you.
They are wonderful. Nobody can make me happier or make me feel more stupid.
Yeah. Join the club. Yeah, 3 boys, I get the same.
But you know what? Your goal is to make sure that your kids are a little smarter than you are.
Yeah.
You know, you're constantly improving the gene pool. So you marry good women, and you know they'll do a little better than you do. When you were growing up, did you know that you wanted to spend this much time outdoors? Was this just sort of in the DNA and the environment and how you grew up?
Well, my dad was a commando and a climber, and at a young age, all I wanted to do was hang out with him, climb together, be together. And as a young kid, it was the only thing I was good at. I was always the kid that climbed the highest tree out the buildings. And, you know, somebody said to me age 7 that I could have a job that involved climbing up stuff, getting muddy, being outside, doing this sort of stuff. I would have thought I was the luckiest man in the world, you know. So I've always tried to pursue what I love and what I'm okay at naturally. And, you know, I've just been super lucky. I had a great team around me and stuff, and I would never have thought I'd be doing this. I'm with the President of the United States. The whole thing is totally mad. And I'm cooking for him, and I'm the worst cook in the world.
No, but I tell you, the salmon's starting to look pretty good.
Should you try a little bit of this?
Yeah, let's try that. Come on.
That would be
good. Get a little sample. That's tasty.
Can still smell the bear breath on it.
I tell you what, though, that's good.
Good. Well, it's fresh. That's proper Alaskan salmon for you.
Bear's a mediocre cook, but the fact that we ate something recognizable was encouraging. It would have been nice if we had had a cracker to go with it, but that's all right. Those things are hard to pack.
Do you have a faith that's important in your life?
Absolutely. I think it was my favorite president, President Lincoln. And I'm paraphrasing here, but he said, if you weren't a religious man before you took office, you will be humbled and on your knees and praying to God for some help.
Yeah, it's like I love that quote that says there's no such thing as an atheist in the Southern Ocean.
That's exactly right.
Or on the death zone on Everest, you know?
And that, too, is, I think, part of determination and resilience. But that also is what keeps an even keel.
Yeah. And what do you kind of want to be the legacy? If you had to pick one thing as a legacy of your presidency?
Well, you know, we've provided health care to millions of people who didn't have it. We repaired an economy that was globally on the brink of a Great Depression. But this climate change agenda is as important as anything I'm going to do. I think it will have a more significant impact on the lives of future generations as just about anything. And we're still a long way from getting it right, but it's something that working together, I think we can make a difference on.
Coming up.
Now, I had always heard if you drink your own pee, all that's going to do is just dehydrate you further.
If you're out in the wild, you've got nothing else, you don't want to be wasting it. That's fine to re-drink.
Seems to be Bear's main claim to fame is that he drinks his own urine.
So when I was cooking lunch for the president, the guy who checks that all of his food is safe was kind of, you know, watching me like a hawk. And it turns out the White House actually has a very strict policy about the president not being seen to eat anything on camera, let alone a half-eaten salmon. I sort of expected the president's food advisor to, you know, step in and stop the filming, but I kind of think he was, you know, following the president's lead.
That's tasty.
And luckily, good for him, the commander-in-chief was up for it. I want to do one thing for you. Normally my guests get terrible food.
Yeah.
They get bugs and all of this, but you're the president, so I'm going to make you the best dessert you'll ever have.
What am I going to have?
I've learned so much from so many good American friends, and the best thing I've learned is the s'more.
Now, in Hawaii every year, we have a bonfire on the beach and we make s'mores.
Yeah?
So,
okay, well, you're the s'more expert.
I'm not. Sasha is the s'more expert.
Okay, so talk me through it.
You put your marshmallow on the stick.
Okay.
We're going to do this directly over the flame. Sometimes they catch fire.
That's half the fun.
That one's working right there. All right, now we're gonna put the marshmallow on. Try to
look at this. This looks insanely good.
And then you get your other cracker on top there.
Can I officially say the president's made me a s'more?
I made you a s'more. Let's see how it goes.
I love you, but that looks terrible.
I promise you, it's better than anything that you've ever had on this show. Huh?
Great president, but a lousy cook.
Come on, man, that's more solid. Let me try it out.
Oh, it's good. I think we've earned it. We've burned some calories.
That's not bad, man. What are you talking about?
It's good.
Come on. Not as good as your salmon, but pretty good.
You know, when they announced that we were doing this, there was a petition on the White House.
What'd they want me to eat?
They said, you got to get the president to drink his own pee, and all the Secret Service went, you'd end up in some jail somewhere, you know.
This seems to be Bear's main claim to fame, is that he drinks his own urine. You know, I suppose in extremis, it's something that I would do if the alternative was death. It's not something I'd make a habit of, and I probably wouldn't do it just for a TV show. Now, I had always heard if you drink your own pee, all that's going to do is just dehydrate you further.
If you're really dehydrated already, so you're peeing out brown pee,
right?
It's pure waste product. It's not going to help.
It's not going to do it.
But if you're well hydrated and you're out in the wild, you've got nothing else.
Right.
You don't want to be wasting. That's fine to re-drink, and it will help you. And there are a lot of stories of people drinking their own pee and actually saving their lives. So,
okay, so the notion would be that you might want to actually drink some pee even while you still have some water.
The key is to drink it while you've still got some water.
Got it. So
but once you're really dehydrated, then it's
because the notion is that you stretch it out a little bit. I did learn something, though. If you kind of mix in some urine while you still have water and you're relatively hydrated, that can stretch your water supply out a little bit. I feel fairly confident that I'm never going to find myself in that circumstance, but it's good to know. I'll file that in the memory banks.
I've shared some camps with some amazing people over the years, and one thing I love about campfires in the wild, it's the ultimate leveler. But this, for me, has been my favourite. You're amazing.
It's been wonderful. What a great way to spend a day.
And the s'more gets better and better. Okay, we're heading on down.
All right, we put out our fire here?
Yeah, that's the key thing. Oh, we've got to have our catkins tea.
We got to try our tea.
Catkins are also good for flatulence.
Well, not a problem I have, but perhaps you do.
My kids, I tell you what, my kids need catkins and plenty of it.
All right, let me try it out. That's nice.
Okay, good.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Okay, that's where we're heading, and then we're on our way. Okay.
All right. Good. Let's do it.
Would you ever encourage your girls to go into politics?
No. But if they came to me and they said they wanted to go into elective office,
yeah, I
would be completely supportive.
Yeah.
Because I think it can be noble work if done for the right reasons, the right way. You know, what I try to teach my daughters is be useful and be kind.
Yes.
And if you do those two things, then wherever your passions take you, you'll turn out okay. And
being kind is such a big one. It's not complicated, is it?
No, it really isn't.
Sometimes we have a journey in life to come around to realizing, actually, you're right, that is it.
Try to be useful to somebody and try to be kind.
It's been such a privilege for me to be able to spend a little bit of time with him, but I think this is where we split.
All right.
And actually see what the man himself is like. And for me, just respect. I've got one favour to ask.
Yeah, go ahead.
I promised my wife, I said, I'll get you to sign something for her, but I couldn't find, the only thing I could find in the airport.
Oh, this is the classic.
was it.
This is the classic
But it is amazing.
bottle opener.
The thing is, you look ripped. You know, you couldn't...
I am pretty ripped, actually.
You couldn't do that with Winston Churchill.
No. I'm fairly cut, but it's possible that bottle opener is a little dated. I noticed, for example, there was no gray hair on the Obama figurine, and clearly the presidency's taken a little bit of a toll. But, you know, Michelle tells me I'm holding up okay.
Do you know the thing I was most worried about on this whole trip?
What's that?
Just keeping you safe.
I'm skinny, but I'm tougher than I look.
You are. Well, we've made it. Mission accomplished.
Thank you.
Can I pray for you before we go?
Absolutely.
One of the things I really wanted to do was to be able to say a little prayer with him, and it's always awkward doing that. But, you know, here's a man who really has the weight of the world on his shoulders. And everyone's always taking from him. And I just wanted, just for 10 seconds, just to be able to pray for him and for protection over the incredible stuff he's doing. Lord, I thank you for the President's great strength of courage and character. Bless and protect his work and his family. Forgive us when we fall short, and help us to be strong in you. Amen.
Amen. Appreciate you, man.
Amazing.
Thank you. God bless.
Right. Honestly, it's been such a privilege.
I had a wonderful time.
As I said, I'm in awe of what you're doing to protect our planet.
Well, you are a great ambassador for the wilderness, and I promise I will not invite you to a cocktail party.
I might make an exception for you, Mr. President.
Well, no, but maybe we can scale the face of the White House.
Safe journey out.
Thank you.
Don't get attacked by a bear.
I won't.
Secret Service, he's over to you.
Bear was a terrific companion, also to get a sense of how passionate he is about the wilderness and sharing that knowledge. It was a wonderful time. And the fish was pretty good, too.
You know, we've only got one planet, and we've got to care for it before it's too late. But what it takes is for strong men to stand up and be counted and do something that's going to make a difference. I feel a real kind of care for this protection and love he has for the planet, and I really want to champion what he's doing because it is remarkable.
Alaska, in some ways, is ground zero for what's happening in climate change. We can't take this for granted. It's one of the great legacies of this country. We started the movement for national parks, for preserving huge chunks of wilderness, and that's part of what sets America apart. If we ever lose that, then we're going to lose an essential part of who we are.